So what we have here is the Shagmobile. Note the blingy bright orange purple flare.
It's the shaggin' wagon.
Yeah, the shaggin' wagon.
Shaggin' wagon.
We're gonna be shagging all over the mountains here. Thing. Sacrifice a child. Here we go. See, this would have freaked me out before, but now it's pretty comfortable. Yellow and dark blue, orange flowers. Beautiful here. Got some horses here. I don't know if they're wild or not. They're totally checking us out as if we're strangers. So, here I am in Mongolia. It's been 10 years, and this is the main trip I've been wanting to do. And the real trip's about to begin. You know what I mean. I really, today, feel at peace and calm in a way that I haven't experienced since childhood. Just baseline. Not being in such a rush. Knowing I have things to do and the order to do them, but not obsessively overthinking or planning them or trying to optimize them. But everything's working out. The sun's in the sky. You'll probably have about 5 or 6 hours before it starts to get pretty cold and darker. And right now I'm gonna go to a peak over here, you can't really see it now, to enjoy my little spiritual journey. What I did was write down 8 or 9 questions, things that are major questions in my life, and decide, what do I think of these things now? Over the last couple days I've been answering them, just writing my thoughts and positions now that I have a clearer mind, more space to think, less consumption by traditional thoughts. Uh-oh, this is tricky to get to. I think there's a way over there. And then the other thing is seeing if those answers change in an hour or two from now when I'm thinking differently. It's usually good to answer a question while under one state of mind. And if that answer is confirmed in another state of mind, usually it's a good answer. So that's what I'm doing. Man, this is tricky. But okay, alright, phone goes away now. Peace. This is really the last shot because I'm running out of beautiful places to hide. And these swarms of mosquitoes that are the true enemy are catching up. And that's what this is about, is mosquitoes, children dying, animals going extinct, environmental pressures, famines, all that. We've heard it before. There's nothing we can really do about it, so it seems. But what we can do is we can control our attention. We can choose to unsubscribe from things that we know at the end of the day are unhealthy or toxic or spreading bad values. We cannot click or linger on those kinds of things, because those things really do give us power. They change the world. And by having our attention, our values, our good deeds into the kinds of things that are building society, that are actually honorable, that unite people, that get great feats accomplished, then those are the kinds of things worthy of our attention. And even though it's totally selfish at the end of the day, people will chase that spotlight wherever we go. And this is a lesson that led the Romans to be so long, is for the glory of Rome. And in a way, I think that's what we ought to do to kind of unite ourselves, is take the spotlight away from ourselves, shine it on a goal, and then hope it passes us on the way. So maybe as a takeaway, just think of one or two people to unsubscribe. And also, we got to take care of ourselves, because once we start realizing that we're the actors, that we're the ones responsible for reality, all the grassroots that creates this world, then we have to take care of ourselves, because we're voting power, we're the sustenance. Less Doritos, less chips, sugar, not all at once. Don't stop eating animals, all that, but just little bits here and there, and they kind of, little bits change the world, and they build momentum over time, and nothing has to even be that hard. It's gradual, and there's a lot of encouragement. But anyways, that's my rambling about what'll kind of help us fix these problems. It's nothing drastic, there's not one major issue, it's just us really taking the time for other people, uniting, taking care of ourselves, and having some sort of shared purposes. Just had a good climb to the top of this little waterfall here. It's like perfect because the rocks are like very climbable without having like life or death situations. So nice up here. And there's like snow over here. Apparently we're about to start heading through some like snowy mountain passes. And this is what it's like going down. You can see all the little types of plants and fungi and all the bugs. Half of the rocks are kind of like not really ones you want to balance on if they're at an angle, because they're not really secure. But a lot of them are big boulders. This is our guide, Altai. Altai, say hi. Okay, let's do it. Making some sort of piece of wood here. Oh, this piece of wood is looking like a horse or a camel or something. Хорошо, молодец. So we have a couple days left. We've been going up and up this mountain pass today. Just crossed the river. The sun's pretty bright, and got my hoodie pulled up to protect against it. Hand's kind of burnt. Uh-oh. Horsey, slow down. We traded horses today, Caleb and I. So I got Gassy, the one known for farting all the time in front of the other horse, and he's got Stumpy, the inobedient one. So just to try out different horses. We are way up here now. Just crossed another river. Feel kind of like Lord of the Rings or something. And they're on the cliff, and it's like a deathly fall below. This is what it looks like the horse right now. We traveled far through marshland to find the source of the snowmelt that eventually becomes the river down the mountain. If you look here, there's a pool with no running water, and then suddenly there's running water here. So it could be a combination of springs and snowmelt or underwater rivers. But what there surely isn't is any life forms up here. We took a wrong trail, and also while getting the springs waterfall source, we crossed water and got our feet cold, so now they're like kind of frozen. We've been on this mountain for a while. Before they were all the way deep. Come on. Wait. We've finally made it out of the mountains to a land where there are no less than 13 gurs, these tents. They are not Kazakh, but Mongol. So today we're staying near a Mongol camp, and this dog comes up, and it looks like the sketchiest dog that we've seen. But it's actually the friendliest, doesn't even bark or anything. And we're eating camel right now. It's good. Goodbye, Mongolia. For those who are wondering, the pimp mobile definitely works. We're returning with no less than a harem of 7 new Mongolian wives, thanks to the pimp wagon. Yep. See you next time.
To share some really, what I thought was interesting stuff about Mongolia that didn't really get captured in the videos. One is that as soon as you go to a nomad's home, you can basically stop by anybody's place and they'll offer you food. You can even stay there. There's such a friendly, welcoming culture. And the first thing they'll always do is offer you this milk tea. It's like tea, salt, and milk. And it's actually pretty good. And you use it a lot to dip like breads in, or like cheeses that sometimes get like super hard. Also, something I noticed is that the Mongolian language, to me, is probably the coolest sounding language I've ever heard. When in the mountains, there was a whole week period where I literally didn't meet a single English or Russian speaker. I was expecting it to be a little bit more, but I guess these guys don't really need those languages. I thought at least Russian among the older people because of the Soviet legacy, but did not encounter that. The income of these guys is super low. They could spend like a whole day working on something, and if you give them like a couple bucks for it, like they're pretty happy. I went to like a restaurant with Caleb at the very end, like at a kind of like nomad colony, and we got like a meal that was like $1.50 for 2 of us to eat like a lot. It was like dumplings and meat. Also in the mountains, it's about 50% Mongolians and 50% Kazakhs who actually migrated over there, I think in the last like 100 or 200 years. The Mongolians, you can tell a difference because of not just the language, but the Kazakhs, their homes are way decorated differently, where they have a lot more color and patterns on the insides of the yurts. The children themselves that in these families don't actually go to school. They just sort of learn the ways of life among that they need to know, the skills from their parents. Something also is, I asked how, at the very end I met an English speaker, and I asked like how do they find like their partners, like husbands, wives, and basically it's just based on convenience, like, oh, like, you're one of like the 3 people in like this entire area that has a kid roughly the same age as mine. Okay, there you go. It's not like they make a huge deal out of it like we do in the West, and they end up looking like they're all pretty functional and get along and have long, successful marriages. So that was interesting to see. Another thing is animal products, like 90% animal products, like cheeses, meats, yogurts, milks, like all the time, butters, like like 90% of the diet, plus some random like Russian, Ukrainian chocolate candies. Also, the horses are super hardcore. Like, I did not imagine it was possible for horses to be such like all-terrain vehicles. They can go up like, I don't know, it's like high steep things. They can walk on rocks, wet rocks, cross rivers, go through mud, snow. Like, these things, at first I was like sketched out a lot of the time because I'm like, I don't want to fall off this horse, but after a while it doesn't even faze me. Apparently they move about 8 times per year, about 20 to 40 kilometers per time with the seasons, and the winters are about negative 40 degrees Celsius. And the capital, Ulaanbaatar, is the coldest capital on the planet for a country, and also the most polluted, especially during the winter, where apparently you can only see like 10 meters, 30 feet in front of you. A couple interesting things about the capital is, one, like, every car is a Prius. Like, not every car, but a solid like 80% of the cars are Priuses. Super gas efficient, I guess. I didn't even notice it at first, so I'm not very observant. Once I caught on, I'd be like, Prius, 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 Prius. That really tripped me out. And also the wheels like are on the left and the right side. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't make a difference. So that's kind of weird. I haven't seen them mix like that. And lastly is that basically like anybody's going to be a taxi driver. All you need to do is like stick out your hand and some like old couple will pick you up and you just show them where you want to go. And you just get in like anybody's car. You don't use like an app or anything. So I thought that was pretty funny too. So yeah, that's just my thoughts on Mongolia, and sort of just a little look at the adventure I had there. The main closing statement though that I really had answered is a long time ago was in Fiji on a remote island helping do eye surgeries, where a lot of the natives had never even seen Caucasians before. This is 15 years ago. I noticed they're the happiest people I've ever seen. They don't lock their doors, the children roam around freely, everybody is so like loving and friendly. And I kind of saw that again with the nomads, where people are curious, they're friendly, playful, a little bit simpler. But when I compare the life of these really poor people to the people in the city, like somebody who's like selling tickets at a movie theater that I saw, and I'm like, I feel like it's better to be a nomad because you're outside, you're probably eating healthier food, you're way poorer and more uncomfortable, but the uncomfort doesn't define your happiness. It's just, you get used to it. Whereas the person selling the tickets, like, they're standing there all day, they probably don't care that much about the people that they're serving, they're like trapped in a building, they're not making very much money if they're hardly even making ends meet, they're probably low in social status and like not living up to their dreams or feeling shitty. And they're also like adding a lot more carbon and like damage and pollution to the world than somebody who's just living this simple nomadic life. So it's just making more clear that we don't really know what makes us happy. see a friend. Don't know what makes us happy, and that it really takes just sort of rationally having diverse life experiences and seeing different kinds of people and really thinking about things to really get a solid foundation for life, I think. So for me, more and more, I've been like stripping comfort and yeah, just comfort as a value, not caring that much about tasty food, nice beds, things like that, because that's sort of a trap. Money is also a trap where people keep chasing it thinking that they need more, but it just becomes normal and people always want more. So that's just a big takeaway that I see from living with the Mongols that was really confirmed, and that's just like super solid truth to me now that I would like to share with you guys.